My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. We appreciate your viewership and your listenership on the flagship program on the I Love CVille Network. A lot we're going to cover on today's program. What we try to do with this network, this show in particular, is take topics and localize them. Some of these topics may originate from a global perspective, like what we've covered over the last couple weeks with this Middle East hellscape? Is that a fair description of what's going on between Israel and Hamas and Gaza and Palestinians? I mean, warfare, torture. We localize it by asking, how is Charlottesville responding to this? Should Charlottesville respond to this? What's the University of Virginia doing? How do we protect free speech? How do we protect students that are Jewish at the University of Virginia? Should council be doing anything about it? I thought we've covered this topic inside and out. Here's another topic, maybe not Middle Eastern, but a topic that's national in scale from Alaska, Planet Fitness. There was a Planet Fitness member in Alaska that identified as a woman, was birthed as a man, walked into the locker room in Alaska, the women's locker room at Planet Fitness. A mom was in there with her daughter. The mom felt insecure, felt unsafe. Her mama bear instincts came out. In this particular circumstance, her instincts suggested that she should take a photo of the...
do you really think it was mama bird instincts?
How else would you characterize them? That's the voice of Judah Wickower. She took the photo of the person who identified as male, went into the locker room, identified as woman, birthed as male, went into the woman's locker room. Her teenage daughter was in there. She took a photo and circulated on social media. It went viral.
I would...
And as a result of this virality on social media, bomb threats are being called in all over America at Planet Fitness locations, including in Charlottesville, Virginia, at 5th Street Station, technically Albemarle County.
I think 2 days ago it was 17 bomb threats. 1 day ago it was up to 24 bomb threats. It's disgusting behavior. I would call her...
Disgusting behavior, I want to clarify here.
Disgusting behavior, calling in bomb threats.
Agreed.
Because you don't like a business's actions. I would call her behavior...
You're talking the mom who took the photo.
The mom who took the photo, I would call that Karen behavior.
Karen behavior.
She could have pulled her daughter out and had a talk with management. Instead, she pulled her phone out and started taking pictures and then posted it on social media.
It went viral.
I don't care what the situation was. Her reaction was despicable.
Stacey Baker Patty, welcome to the broadcast. I want to unpack this today. This is something that happened in Alaska that has affected Albemarle County and Charlottesville. We'll talk about it on today's program. Also on today's program, we will chitter-chatter the median income numbers that were released by HUD this week. We talked about it yesterday. I thought Deep Throat offered compelling analysis on this. Keith Smith of Real Talk with Keith Smith also offered compelling analysis. We can get this slide on screen that Keith Smith created that aired on this morning's talk show. The metropolitan statistical areas for 2024, the top 12 in Virginia from a cost of living standpoint. Arlington, a clear-cut number one. HUD, median income, and as Deep Throat highlighted yesterday, this is family households. Not individual households, not student households. These are family households. Is that slide on screen?
Yeah.
Viewers and listeners, take a look at the screen. Look at the screen now. Arlington, $154,000, $700,000 per household. Charlottesville, number two in the Commonwealth, most expensive MSA at $124,200. The previous year was $123,300. Then you got Virginia Beach at $110,700, Culpeper at $110,400, Richmond at $110,300, Blacksburg, 106, 700. Louisa, 99,000. Then Augusta, Harrisonburg, Roanoke, Buckingham, and Lynchburg. Buckingham. We're going to pick this apart like Thanksgiving turkey today. I thought Carly Wagner, if Carly Wagner is watching today's program, I'm going to give her some props. I thought she offered compelling analysis on this on the morning's talk show that I want to relay to the viewers and listeners, including this. The jumbo loan threshold in Arlington is about $154,000. In fact, let me call them up right now. This is according to Bankrate, 2024 thresholds. Arlington has got the number one median income per household at $154,700. The jumbo loan threshold in Arlington is $1,149,825. Charlottesville City is significantly less at $766,550.
You might want to explain to the audience what jumbo loans are, because I know some of them definitely know what they are, and if I was listening, I would be one of the people that absolutely does not.
Okay, I will. Jumbo loan is a mortgage used to finance properties that are too expensive for a conventional conforming loan. We'll talk about this. She asked this question: why is the number for Charlottesville and Albemarle County not higher and synonymous with what Arlington's levels are, considering how expensive it is for Charlottesville? It's a fantastic question. She also said this: the Charlottesville MSA is being impacted because the Charlottesville MSA, the MSA includes Albemarle County, Fluvanna, Greene, Nelson, and Charlottesville City. She says the MSA, the metro area, this number is being impacted by Fluvanna, Greene, and Nelson. That if Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville were their own separate MSAs, that this number, 124,200, would be way higher. I want to unpack that on today's program. Also on the talk show. Go ahead.
No, I think that's a good assessment.
Great assessment. Great assessment, something that needs to be highlighted, just like Deep Throat's points yesterday. Also on today's talk show, we had a murder yesterday. Charlottesville City, the first one of 2024. Sadly. Was it 12th and Page?
Yeah, I believe so.
Police all over the scene yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, nothing but thoughts to the family, empathy, sympathy, prayers, if you're God-fearing people, to the family. The police investigating the murder. First one of the year.
Yeah.
We'll unpack that on today's program. I want to talk Jim Ryan. He's running in the Boston Marathon again, this time for the UVA Children's Hospital. One of the things that Jim Ryan, the president of the University of Virginia, has done really, really well is he's created a proverbial bank of goodwill and equity. And what I mean by that is President Ryan does a great job of interacting with the community. One of the ways he does that is through athletics, specifically his running. He has runs with students, runs with locals. He's running in the Boston Marathon for the Children's Hospital. What that is called in the advertising and branding world is localize, humanize, and personalize. President Ryan understands the concept of localize, humanize, and personalize. Terry Sullivan, the previous president of UVA, did not understand that to the tune that Jim Ryan does. President Ryan, whether we want to admit this or not, is a politician.
Yeah.
He's a politician. And to have a bank of goodwill equity that you can tap on during tough times helps make you more bulletproof when you are facing headwinds. And he's faced significant headwinds this year, in particular free speech headwinds, in particular student safety headwinds, in particular headwinds associated with Israel, Hamas, Gaza, and the protection of Jewish students. He was under the crossfire at a recent Board of Visitors meeting. Collateral damage, box truck driving around grounds, demanding Rector Robert Hardy's removal from the Board of Visitors. Whether the Jefferson Council is behind that, we don't know, although they have said on the record they are not a part of funding that box truck. Mm-hmm. Do we take them at face value? Do we believe them? I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that to the viewer and listener to make their respective decision. Here's a national topic, maybe a global topic for you, a macroeconomics topic for you. CPI just came in hot. I mean, this number is so persistently hot.
Yeah.
Find the stat of the number coming in above 3 for how long that's been. The Consumer Price Index, a key inflation gauge, rose 3.5% in March, higher than expectations, marking an acceleration for inflation. These are key data points.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about rate cuts at the beginning of the year that many thought would be in the 5 to 6 neighborhood. Now folks are saying it's not going to happen until the back end of the year, and we'll be lucky to see 1, 2, or 3, if any at all.
If at all.
How the hell is that going to impact Charlottesville, Virginia, and Central Virginia? We'll talk about that on today's show. You, the viewer and listener, will be celebrated by offering thoughts, perspective, questions through the I Love CVille Show viewer and listener power poll. You can find that online at ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. This talk show airs Monday through Friday at 12:30. We are in the shadows of Thomas Jefferson's University, less than 2 miles from the Rotunda, John Paul Jones Arena, and Scott Stadium. 40 yards away, 50 yards away from the Charlottesville Police Department that is doing its best to solve a murder on 12th and Page yesterday, a block away from the courthouses of Albemarle in the city of Charlottesville, and right off the downtown mall, smack dab in the middle of a market we call Central Virginia that is 300,000 people strong. Judah Wickower, 2-shot. Bomb threat, Planet Fitness, set the table, set the stage. The show is yours with the nitty-gritty.
I mean, I think you did a pretty good job, but yeah, it was a woman in Alaska who, at a Planet Fitness, saw someone that she thought to be a man in the woman's locker room, and apparently tossing common sense out the window, took out her phone and decided to take pictures and post them on social media. And you know, I can't fault Planet Fitness for kicking the woman out, which is what they did. And there is a far right wing, what would you call it, media outlet?
A social media platform.
It's called Libs. I think it's called Libs of TikTok. Strangely, nothing liberal about it, and they have been, I guess, harping on this and apparently getting their message out, because now people are sending bomb threats to, or a person or persons are sending bomb threats to Planet Fitnesses across the United States, including Charlottesville, Virginia. Or is that in Albemarle?
Albemarle County. Still, yeah. We'll call it Charlottesville.
Yeah. The woman was barred from the gym in Alaska. The gym refused to reverse its decision, and apparently in the 5 days after the incident took place, which I believe was in earlier in, I think it was mid-March, and their valuation has gone down $400 million.
Planet Fitness is in. We'll talk numbers, dollars and cents first. Its stock is in the pooper. What's the drop?
It was $400 million in 5 days after the incident. So that would have been 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I mean, folks are saying now that this gym chain will not potentially survive this.
It's possible. I mean, dropping that much. I don't know what their valuation was before this happened. Do you have the current valuation there?
It's not in front of me. And frankly, I don't think it's specific to what we want to cover on today's show.
That's fair.
Good recap there from J-Dubs. So here's what we know. and I'll put it in a nutshell. Alaska. About as far from Virginia as you can get. Any state in the free union, which is further from Virginia? What, maybe Hawaii?
Yeah, I don't think you can get much farther than Hawaii.
Hawaii, Alaska, right? You got a brouhaha that happened in Alaska, where a mom thought the best move to protect her daughter in the women's locker room.
Are you sure about the daughter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
To protect her daughter was a photo, snapping a pic. Posted it on social. Hindsight's 20/20. But with the benefit of hindsight, I echo what Judah said. Taking a camera out in a locker room and snapping a picture of somebody in a locker room, posting it all over social media, and then offering your 2 cents, probably not the best judgment decision.
Definitely not.
Hugely erroneous by this mom. I'm not going to make this about locker room rights. I'm not going to make this about accessibility to said locker rooms. I'm not going to make this about politics. I'm going to make this specifically about when you sign up to join a gym or a club, in the language of the documents that you're signing as members, it says you're not photoing other people in locker rooms.
And I think it's smart of Planet Fitness to have that in their documents. I think it's sad that we have to have that type of language in gym documents. You would think, you would hope at least that people are, I don't know, decent enough human beings that they're not going to start taking photos of others in locker rooms. I mean, come on.
And because of this, Albemarle County and the bomb squad had to swarm 5th Street Station because a bomb threat was called in to, what, 17? What was the number you cited at the beginning of the show?
2 days ago, the number was 17. 1 day ago, it was 24.
24 bomb threats.
I hope that doesn't indicate escalation.
I would think that does indicate escalation.
Well, I hope it doesn't indicate escalation besides empty bomb threats, which is bad enough.
Oh, you're saying escalation and bomb threat numbers, not worse acts or more negatively impactful acts than just empty threats.
It's bad enough that they're continuing to call in bomb threats to Planet Fitnesses across the United States. Yeah, I hope it doesn't escalate from there.
Amen, brother. Get those lower thirds rotating on screen if you could, please, sir. I mean, first we need to start prosecuting threats like this to the fullest extent every single time. Threat on social media, threat called in, fullest extent prosecution. Fullest extent.
Yeah.
It's happening entirely too much. And it needs to be at the education, at the high school level, at any level of this getting done. Taking a police force and keeping it from policing a community and instead having it investigate a threat in a shopping center is a terrible use of taxpayer resources and makes the community unsafe.
And also costs money.
Costs significant money. I'd be curious to know how much money was wasted yesterday at 5th Street Station. Second, whether we want to admit this or not, and it's a byproduct of all of us having social media and cameras and video in our hands with these damn smartphones, we are a more connected world than we've ever been, ever. something can spread on social media. A perfect example is the story we covered yesterday. A fried chicken joint in Manhattan is utilizing Filipino hostesses and Filipino cashiers that are working for the Fried Chicken Eatery, a restaurant in Manhattan that does chicken. And instead of having actual front of the house staff that is working in person at the restaurant in Manhattan, they are having Filipino cashiers and Filipino hostesses zooming in on tablets through Zoom at the host stand and at the cashier stage, paying them less than $4 an hour instead of paying the $15, $16, $17 an hour, which is the minimum wage.
Yeah.
How this surfaced was a tech influencer on Twitter went to the Manhattan restaurant and was taken aback that Filipino hostess and Filipino cashiers via Zoom on tablets were checking him in and checking him out. He posted this on Twitter, it went viral, and media covered it, and now we're talking about it and asking if this is the new norm for front-of-the-house staff potentially at quick-serve or fast-casual restaurants in Charlottesville or Central Virginia. The same viral nature, a mom with her phone posted photos of someone changing in their locker room, despite it being a breach of the contract that she signed with Planet Fitness. That contract that you signed with Planet Fitness, which clearly says you cannot take photos of other members in a locker room, whether you agree with their politics, whether you agree with the gender they identify with. She took the pictures nevertheless, it went viral, and now 20 bomb threats have been called to various locations, Planet Fitness, including one right outside Charlottesville in Albemarle County. Mm-hmm. This world is more connected than it's ever been. And it's exhilarating and frightening at the very same time. And Planet Fitness and how they manage this may determine whether they survive this crisis or not.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to this before we go to the next topic? Logan at Wells Clalo, hello. Philip Dow, hello. Kevin Yancey, hello. Thank you for watching the program. Kevin Higgins in Greenwood. Aaron King, thank you for watching the program. Stacy Baker Patty, thank you kindly for watching the show.
No, I don't think there's anything I need to add. It's just... Yeah, this goes beyond politics. It goes beyond sexuality. It goes beyond personal beliefs. Don't take pictures of people in locker rooms. And
Ginny Who says bomb threats are not the solution to protecting women's spaces. Speaking up and taking your money elsewhere is.
Yeah.
She says there have been cases at more than one Planet Fitness. Ginny Who says an older woman had her membership revoked for going to management about a man in the women's locker room.
I mean, you take that to the press. The answer is never photographing people in the locker room or making bomb threats. I don't care what the problem is. I don't see how those are ever the proper response.
Follow this story closely. Next topic, lower third on screen if you could, please. We talked about this yesterday. Median income by statistical area in Virginia. If you can put the graphs on screen. This is, I gotta give props to the source. Real Talk with Keith Smith. Keith Smith put this together today. HUD metropolitan statistical areas, the median income for 2024. Here are the top 12 in the Commonwealth. Charlottesville, we talked yesterday, number 2. Arlington, number 1. 154,700 for Arlington. This is family household, deep throat, quick to highlight this. This is not individuals or student households. These are families. Mm-hmm. Charlottesville, number 2, 124, 200. Look at the gap between 2 and 3. First, look at the gap between 1 and 2. Yeah. Arlington and Charlottesville. Mm. Massive gap. Also a massive gap of earning potential in Arlington. Look at the gap between number 2 and number 3. Charlottesville and Virginia Beach. Look at the gap between Charlottesville and Richmond. Look at the gap between Charlottesville and Culpeper. Which jurisdiction surprises you the most of any of these? For me, two jump out. The two that jump out to me are Culpeper County, 110,400. Culpeper County, no longer a county of farms and pastures and cows.
Well, I guess not.
Culpeper County, a bedroom community of Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C., clearly. The second jurisdiction that jumped out to me, Louisa County. Louisa County, no longer a county that's just in the middle of Richmond and Charlottesville, a pass-through county. Yeah. Louisa at 99,000 and counting, and wait till we see the impact of Amazon. Wait till we see the impact of Spring Creek being fully developed. Remember, Amazon's investing $11 billion into Louisa. Louisa's household income by family is increasing because people are being gentrified and pushed out of Charlottesville and Albemarle. Yep. And they're choosing to move to Louisa and communities like Spring Creek that are right off the interstate, that are a hop, skip, and a jump from the epicenter of employment. You can get from Spring Creek and Zion's Crossroads to Charlottesville or Albemarle County, portions of it, in less than 20 minutes. I can assure you the 99,000 for Louisa is going to escalate. Now, Carly Wagner asked some very challenging questions on Real Talk this morning. If you got lower thirds on screen and us on a two-shot. She made this comment, and it got me thinking. If Charlottesville and Albemarle were in their own MSA and not included in a metropolitan service area of Fluvanna, Greene, and Nelson, would the number be even higher? She also made the comment, the jumbo loan threshold for Charlottesville and Albemarle should be much more synonymous with Arlington's $1,149,825 than that of Charlottesville City or Albemarle County's $766,550. Let's unpack both those points. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. First, Fluvanna, Nelson, and Greene County. Do they have the same Scrooge McDuck money bags that Charlottesville and Albemarle County does? At first glance, you would say, of course not. You would say, at first glance, Charlottesville and Albemarle County, if they were their own MSA, this number would be way higher than 124,200. Would it be higher? Yes. But I'll push back with the help of Deep Throat that it wouldn't be that much higher. Here's number one in the family's commentary. His photo on screen, please, sir. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings to see where you stack up on the I Love CVille Show Power Poll. Deep Throat says this. Do outlying counties distort the MSA stats? No, not really. They appear to be in line with the MSA levels. Albemarle County definitely higher than the city or any other counties. He says there's a 7.7% gap between MSA-wide median and Albemarle County median. Show the graph that he's got on screen. I'm putting you on the fly here, Judah. Actually, we can get to that graph. That's on CPI.
Which graph do you want?
We can hold off on the graph.
Keith's or?
We'll hold off on it.
Okay.
Fluvanna, Nelson, and Greene are changing in look and feel because of the pressures on Charlottesville and Albemarle. Charlottesville and Albemarle's inventory crunch is driving deep-pocketed households to Greene, Fluvanna, and Nelson for bigger houses and bigger backyards and front yards and dreams of white picket fences. 2.5 kids, a kitty cat, in a golden doodle. And for those that highlight Arlington as the #1 median income MSA in the Commonwealth, the immediate counterpoint should be Arlington, much higher earning potential than the city of Charlottesville, than the Albemarle County jurisdiction, and this MSA. And as a result, the cost of living is actually more challenging here than in Arlington.
Yeah.
I would also bet you that available inventory housing is more plentiful in the Arlington MSA than it is in the Charlottesville Albemarle MSA.
Undoubtedly.
Now, Carly's second point, I thought you made the program better. In fact, you should get her photo on screen. Number 4 in the family. No, excuse me, number 3 in the family, Miss Wagner. John Blair, we'll get to your comment here in a matter of moments. Kevin Higgins, we'll get to your comment in a matter of moments. She talked about jumbo loan thresholds. Jumbo loan is a mortgage used to finance properties that are too expensive for conventional conforming loans. Judah asks, why would someone want a jumbo loan? You need a jumbo loan if you want to finance a property that costs more than a certain amount the FHFA sets for your state each year. If a mortgage exceeds the FHFA's conforming loan limit, market makers Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will not back or purchase it, thus making it a riskier proposition for a lender.
So as a result, are the rates higher?
I can't give you a direct answer on that. The rates may be higher if your credit profile, the amount that you can put down, your net worth are not to standard. Certain banks, I'll speak to firsthand perspective, my family's perspective. Certain banks are willing to give certain loan products to a buyer if they're willing to transition all business accounts with them. So the loan product, which they will then keep on their books, which they will warehouse, in some ways becomes not a loss leader because they're still getting some interest, but they're willing to do it below market conditions because they're scooping up the entire financial portfolio, the entire big picture of finances for the client. If the client goes to a lender and says, I have these businesses or a bank and these business accounts and these properties that collect these rent rolls every year and these leases that escalate at 4, 5, 6% clip every year and these properties that are completely paid off, and I'm willing to bring them to your bank if you give me a rate of this magnitude on this jumbo loan product, many will say yes. Because they assess your risk profile and compare and contrast it or do the scales of justice with the big picture of what you're bringing to the bank. So I wouldn't say there's a set amount. I would say the interest rate is more associated with what the individual buyer can offer as collateral or to de-risk the song and dance.
Right.
I think the point is a fair one about increasing the threshold. I also think that it's important to highlight this. Those that are purchasing in this threshold, in this jumbo threshold, are putting, in a lot of cases, substantially more money down to de-risk the song and dance.
Yeah.
Do you think that Charlottesville one day will narrow the gap with Arlington? Or do you think the gap is going to considerably be, I mean, here it's 30K gap. That's a pretty large gap. And I'll follow that question up with something else that Keith posted this morning. Keith, I thought you did a great job on your talk show this morning. I learned quite a bit from Keith on Real Talk. He highlighted this, that another media outlet, this one called Move Buddha, released the most desirable cities to move in each state in 2024. And Charlottesville landed the top spot for the Commonwealth and 17th in the entire nation. In the last 48 hours, another media outlet has called us the #1 place to move or to live in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. And in the last 48 hours, the U.S. News and World Report rankings have pegged or ranked the Darden School, the Law School, and the Education School of UVA top 10 nationally. The law school in particular is #4 nationally, #1 public, #4 public or private law school. You got media rankings, you got wine enthusiasts calling it the region of the year, you got wedding people calling it the #1 or #2 wedding destination on the East Coast, battling with Charleston for the #1 spot. You got Bloomberg saying it's a top 15 in the country for hybrid or remote work, the Charlottesville metro area.
Nursing school, top spot in Virginia for its graduate program.
Nursing school. We've talked Amazon, 11 billion. We've talked Northrop Grumman, 300, 200 million, new factory in Waynesboro. We've talked Paul Manning Biotech, Jeffrey Woodruff Data Science. Place is crazy. I mean, it's a trampoline, a jet rocket, a spaceship for growth. What could slow it down? What could slow it down?
I'm not sure that's good. I'm not sure anything could.
Olivia Branch, welcome to the broadcast. What could slow it down? Only thing that could slow it down, I don't see ever happening, the deprioritization of in-person learning at the University of Virginia. UVA going away altogether. Don't ever see that happening.
No.
Only thing I can think of. High crime of 2023 didn't do anything.
Right.
Speaking of crime, you want to put that lower third on? Oh, Maria Marshall Barnes says crime could slow it down. I'll push back on that, and I appreciate Maria Marshall Barnes on the show. Maria Marshall Barnes, you're a key member of this family. Let's get her photo on screen, number 22 in the polls. We had crime through the roof last year. I take that back. I'm sorry I said that. Crime through the roof in 2022 and in the first and early parts of the second quarter of 2023. Then Chief Kachis got on the job. He talked about when he was in studio of how vacancies on the police force for Charlottesville City went from 30 plus down to 3, which is where he's at now. John Blair, I'm going to get to your comments here. Chief Kachis has got his first murder of the year to solve.
Yeah.
And it happened right next to where he lives. This time last year, the year before, if there's any, this is the first one of the year.
Yeah.
Many more on the docket the previous years. Many more. John Blair says this, MSAs can be deceptive. Localities get included in the MSA if either, John's photo on screen if you could. Here's a point, good point for number 2 in the family. MSAs can be deceptive. Localities get included in the MSA if either 25% of a locality's residents commute into the central business area of the MSA, or if 25% of a locality's residents are employed by the MSA's central business area. To your west, Stanton, Waynesboro, Augusta are one MSA, and only those 3 localities are included in its numbers. If CVille's MSA was only Charlottesville, Albemarle, I have to wonder if median family income would be closer to 140 to 150. That's what Carly alluded to. Deep Throat pushed back a little bit on that. He also says this, Jerry, an interesting question for you and your audience. I'd love to hear thoughts on this. Louisa is not in the Charlottesville MSA. Does that sound right to your base on the 25% commuter threshold? He's basically saying he would imagine more than a quarter of Louisa is commuting to Charlottesville or Albemarle for work.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Louisa's family household income shocked me of $99,000. It shocked me. Did that not shock you?
I know less about this kind of stuff than you guys do, so that
shocked me. John says, are you not surprised Louisa's not in the Charlottesville MSA? Because he would think that more than a quarter of the population is going to Charlottesville or Albemarle for work.
Yeah.
Great comments from Mr. Blair.
If not now, then probably soon, no doubt.
Great stuff from Mr. Blair. Albert Graves, his photo on screen. Charlottesville will not continue to be one of the top 10 cities to move to if they keep moving up in the top 5 most dangerous cities per capita. He's alluding to the crime. Do you agree or disagree with that from Mr. Albert Graves, a man who I have a lot of respect for?
I don't know if I see Charlottesville. Does Charlottesville really have a horrible crime problem? I think part of the issue is visibility. We're more we see this more on social media and across different mediums. But I don't know that I see Charlottesville being. I mean,
who would know something?
I lived in Los Angeles. I'm sorry, but
you can't compare Charlottesville to Los Angeles.
It's never going to be. I know, you can't. But
let's comparing a watermelon to a grape.
Fair.
I'll say this to Albert Graves, and whether people think this is fair or not, this is the unfortunate reality. Do you remember the crime that garnered the most local, regional, and national attention for Charlottesville? Last year or two, right before Chief Cott just got on the job.
I don't know about specific ones.
It was 2 specifically.
There was the Yardley Love one. There was the
Morgan Harrington.
The kidnapping.
Yardley Love. Those went global.
Yeah.
You also had the murder on the downtown mall.
Yeah.
And you had the OK Corral gunfight in the parking lot of the Omni Hotel.
Which fortunately didn't lead to any, I don't think, property or human damage.
My point is this. When the crime gets outside of the pockets that it has generally existed within,
right,
it becomes viral news. Furthermore, when the crime starts impacting folks that are not notorious for being in the game, innocent bystanders, in particular, if those innocent bystanders are students at a university, in particular, if they are female, it's going to go viral in nature. It's not fair. It's gross, but it's indicative of today's news cycle. The news cycle that we call social and digital media and clickbait wants a pretty face that they can put on screen and 8 words of headline copy to talk about what happened.
Yeah.
That's when you would see the crime impacting things. And right now, we don't have that.
Yeah.
We don't have that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add to this?
We had Conscious on our show recently.
This could be a good segue to Flock if you wanted to go down there. You go anywhere you want. Show is yours. I trust your judgment. I sincerely mean that.
That is a great point. I thought he's always well spoken, and he makes some great points about the police getting the job done. Last year, they solved all the shooting crimes that happened in our area
Quickly.
yeah, and I'm sure they'll do the same here. I know a lot of people are terrified by Flock, but if you haven't heard what Police Chief Conscious had to say about Flock on the show, I didn't listen to him at the council meeting, so I don't know how much of what he covered on the show was covered there as well. But I would highly recommend people watching it and playing it for other people. It was enlightening and eye-opening, and I think a lot of people are afraid that this is going to be some kind of police state, cameras like on every corner of every Charlottesville street, and the police are just going to be able to follow and find anyone. They'll know everything about you, and I can't speak to the veracity of his words, but the way he explained it is that this is not video. It takes photos of license plates. It is not going to be around forever. It is not being uploaded to the dark web or anything. It stays for 7 days and then gets deleted. And this is not something that anyone can just come and log in and find out information about their ex or their estranged wife or whatever. Getting any information off of the system whatsoever requires a personal login, and every request for information is logged in the system. So if somebody is abusing the rights of the Flock system, they will be easily found out and hopefully punished, because that's not what the system is for. And I think Conscious wants this system for the right reasons. And it sounds like something that, especially in a case like this, where you have somebody get murdered and the perpetrator likely at some point drove off in a car. And this will help the police.
Good job, Judah Wickauer. Concur with that. Well done. Jim Ryan, Boston Marathon. That lower third, if you could put on screen. I'll set the stage if you go on a 1 shot, and then we'll weave you in on a 2. Jim Ryan has run 13 straight Boston Marathons. 13 straight Boston Marathons. He's running the Boston Marathon this year on April 15th for the UVA Children's Hospital. Those who donate $26 to the cause will receive a Run with Jim t-shirt, which the Virginia UVA media arm is promoting aggressively with a gateway link. You donate $26 to the UVA Children's Hospital, you get a Run with Jim t-shirt.
Nice. Does it have a
Jim
picture on
Ryan
there?
said It's an honor to dedicate my run to the patients and healthcare providers at UVA Health and the Children's Hospital, which provides outstanding care to children and families in Charlottesville and beyond. He says, I'm grateful to all those who have supported this effort and look forward to joining other Who's running in the Boston Marathon this year. Interestingly, the U.S. News and World Report has named UVA Health's Children's Hospital the #1 children's hospital in Virginia for 3 straight years. Another ranking.
Another ranking.
We'll weave Judah Wickower in the mix. First, the props. 13 straight marathons is an amazing feat.
Yeah.
The physical toll and the training to run 13 straight marathons should be commended. More props. Running for children and the Children's Hospital, awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. Closer to my heart more than ever with a 6-year-old and a 16-month at home. Our pride and joy.
No doubt.
More props. Jim Ryan understands the concept of building a personal brand to weather inclement political weather and headwinds associated with running the University of Virginia.
No doubt.
Jim Ryan is a politician. What? Total compensation north of $1 million a year when you include benefits, perks, salary, and free residence at Cars Hill. North of $1 million bones a year, easy peasy, Sunday breezy. And when you're able to bank goodwill, essentially equity, by personalizing, humanizing, and localizing your personal brand, you have the foundation to weather a tumultuous storm. And that's certainly one he's facing right now.
Yeah, it takes the sting out of things like using AI for a Twitter ad.
I don't even think he did that.
He probably didn't, but
I think someone on his staff did that post about the eclipse. But to your point,
but the stain is on him.
the stain, it's on him,
and it's less of a news item when the next day there's talk about him, running the Boston Marathon and getting money for a children's hospital.
There it is. He's got goodwill and equity bank that Terry Sullivan never had. And Teresa Sullivan was more of an educator than she was a politician. Mm-hmm. And Teresa Sullivan, the president before Jim Ryan, was ousted in a coup. Backroom dealings, knives in the back, conniving, slippery, two-faced behavior. And Jim Ryan is facing perhaps a similar coup with razorblade Burt Ellis and the Jefferson Council influence leading one of those charges, and with Middle East geopolitical hellscapes, fallout, collateral damage hitting Thomas Jefferson's grounds.
No doubt.
But because he has this equity and this goodwill, the stain, the you-know-what storm doesn't cloud or follow him around like it did Teresa Sullivan with what she had to go through. 13 straight Boston Marathons. That's baller. Mm-hmm. All right, a couple other topics, and then we'll get to comments on air. If you want to offer some comments, put them in the feed. I'll relay them live on air. You can see where you stack up on the I Love CVille Show viewer and listener power rankings at ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Albert Graves, I'm going to get to that tweet that you just sent in a matter of moments. All right. First, some not so great news. Oh, this is from Deep Throat. This is important. This is on John Blair's Louisa County thing. He did the data analysis on Louisa County residents, and he finds that 6% of the Louisa County population is employed by the city of Charlottesville, 6%. Huh. He also said an additional 11% of the population work in Albemarle County. 22% work in Louisa itself, and the underlying source is the same one the census uses, the longitudinal employer household dynamics. He said the percentage of Louisa Countyans working in Charlottesville has actually declined. 9% worked in the city of Charlottesville in 2015. He says it's 6% now. That's fantastic.
Interesting.
Dude, makes the show better. I love you guys. I sincerely mean that. Make the show better. I would never know that information.
Yeah.
I would never know that. All right, the CPI print. Let's talk about this. March CPI inflation rose to 3.5%. Expectations were 3.4%. Core CPI inflation was 3.8%, which is higher than the expectation of 3.7%. This is the 36th consecutive month with inflation above 3%, and second straight month of increases. Now, in the beginning of the year, at the tail end of last year, everyone was talking, pow, 5 rate hikes, 6 rate hikes. They're going to happen as early as the end of Q1, maybe Q2. Mortgages are going down. Credit card interest rates are going down. We're going to have some reprieve. Now, those same people are saying, whoa, jobs are humming. CPI is hot. The economy's on fire. How can Powell cut? And maybe we're not going to get any cuts this year.
Yeah.
Maybe they ain't going to happen until next year. And we got a little event on the horizon called the...
I'm not sure what you...
presidential election.
No.
And as we get closer, are we going to have a suit cut rates and impact an election and how people vote? Or is he going to choose to stay on the sidelines?
That's a good question.
Ladies and gentlemen, this ain't good. It's not good for housing affordability. It's not good for carrying credit card debt.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's not good for pennies in your pocket. And a lot of people of the small business variety took on debt during the pandemic and are paying it now.
Yeah.
And that's how it impacts Preston, Market, West Main, Ellwood, Ivy, 29, Freebridge, Keswick,
No doubt.
Pantops, Rugby, and beyond. Kevin Yancey also highlights that the murder of the UVA football players made national news.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought of that too.
Mr. Yancey's photo on screen, please. He is number 11 in the family. Philip Dow is watching the program. Can we get Philip Dow of Scottsville's photo on screen, please? Number 14 in the family. He says, Mr. Dow does, where'd your comment go, Mr. Dow? He heard today on the news that inflation is going up, causing the market to go down 400 points. He also highlights that the household income is going to force people to move and sell their homes because of carrying costs. Mm-hmm. Kevin Higgins watching the program. Kevin Higgins' photo on screen. Mr. Higgins, we appreciate you watching the show. It's good to hear from you, sir. He is... what is his ranking in the power polls? Number 10 in the family, Kevin Higgins of Greenwood. He says this country at minimum is $34 trillion in debt. I think it's 4 times that if you include unfunded programs. Yet we hire thousands of IRS agents to go after the small guy. Think about that. 5 years from now, all taxes will cover the debt interest only. We are on a ship heading straight for a gigantic iceberg. We'd better wake up quick. Bill McChesney says if it were not for private cameras on the downtown mall, Jesse Matthews may still be at large. Jesse Matthews, 100% could be still at large if it was not for downtown mall business owners checking their cameras outside their storefronts and seeing Mr. Matthews carry Hannah Graham on his shoulder outside of then Tempo restaurant with dozens of people watching him pick Hannah Graham up, put Hannah Graham on her shoulder, and carry her out of a bar on the downtown mall.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying. Warrior AG says, Albert Graves, do you find it coincidental that since the city council approved the use of flock cameras, they are now debating about cutting the funding in half for the Buck Squad? Did you see that story?
Yeah, I had not connected the two. I'm not sure that they. What's the word? They don't.
Did you see how the Buck Squad responded?
I'm not sure specifically. I read one article where obviously they were unhappy and unsure why they're being unfunded.
They responded by saying we're going to have to cut our service area.
Yeah, I think they said they were gonna have to focus on one neighborhood.
One neighborhood. Interesting correlation, if there is one or not. We'll give some props to Charlottesville business brokers for being a part of the show. Charlottesville Business Brokers online at charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com. Experienced at helping entrepreneurs and business owners through the acquisition or the sale of businesses in Charlottesville, Albemarle, Central Virginia, and beyond. Charlottesville Business Brokers online at charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com. Recently a part of the sale of Croby's restaurant with buyer representation. That's the talk show. Thank you kindly for joining us. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller. I'm proud of today's show. You did a great job. I'm proud of today's show. So long, everybody. Take care.